Salute to you all, the brave never fall. This is actually a continuation of a topic that I touched on previously, and this will happen a lot on the podcast. We will circle around to different topics again and reiterate certain things so you're not sitting through an hour's worth at a time. Certain things come my way. I may have a different way of expanding on it. May want to just bring it up again so somebody has the same type of topic, but some variations in there. And that's what life is all about. You don't always go through life trying to get a topic in your head or get something that you learn and then you forget about it. Reiteration is huge. There is no reason in the world why you shouldn't review things and go over things. And that's why I'm doing this one. There's a lot of people out there who need to hear this in different ways. And there's always different ways you can do it. And in this one, I wanted to make sure that when people do not forget about some of the things that they've overcome. And I've said this a lot of times, but in this one, I want to frame it in a little bit of a different way. And it's just going to be things that you need to think about when you're going through life. And I always say break things down into moments, in particular moments in your day. So when you wake up, you have to start your day with a victory so you can earn your rest at the end of the night. When you go to bed, you should feel like you hit as many things as you possibly could in that day. Doesn't mean you have to succeed at everything. Doesn't mean you have to be the best at anything. It just means you gave it your shot. The best shot that you could give it that day. And you have things you need to prioritize throughout your day. Throughout your day, you should have things that you need to hit. Little small goals. They all add up to something bigger. But when you're on a path and you're on a journey and it's a long road, you got to take those small victories when they come and those failures. I started my journey by always thinking, turn every negative into a positive. That phrase is what started it all for me. It changed my life, literally changed my life. When you start having things happen to you, and the older you get, things start to pile up. When you're younger, things happen and okay, you're young. You're super optimistic because you have all this life ahead of you. But once you start accumulating those years and you start accumulating those failures, you start asking yourself, why me? It's not you. It's everyone. Everyone is going through it. What could set you apart from the rest of the people is the fact that you have the ability and the self-awareness to know that just because something negative happens to you doesn't mean you're not gaining a positive out of that negative situation. I have never encountered a situation in my life after reflection. At the moment, I might not have thought it, but after reflecting on it, I could have changed a lot of things in my life towards the better if I had just accepted that negative situation for what it was and started looking at all the positives in it. I went through a deep depression because of that. Not recognizing the potential of a positive situation that can come out of a negative one is a failure to understand life, in a sense. I wish someone had told me this when I was younger. But for today's purposes, I would love to just reiterate that to you as much as I possibly can. You have to turn every negative situation into a positive. And if it seems like it's impossible, it's not. You have to give it time. Because there's always a positive. The positive thing is, if there's nothing else, the default positive thing that you get out of every negative situation is the fact that you went through that situation and you're going to learn from it. You're going to get stronger from it. That right there is the default positive. Then you just build on that. Because whatever you learn from, if you're a person who has self-love and self-discipline, and you're prioritizing every day, you're probably not going to want to go through what you went through again in that negative situation if you can help it. And it can be something as simple as having a car that breaks down all the time. Get rid of that car. It could be something very complex and difficult, like being married to someone and now your marriage is ended and you got to split up everything and you have children. It's a negative situation. Don't just look at their side of it. What were you doing wrong? What things could have you done better? Maybe you should have left earlier. Maybe you shouldn't have gotten a relationship in the first place. Those are all positive things to think about because you're saying to yourself, I love myself enough to not want to go through that again or put someone else through something again if it's your fault that that particular relationship ended. or your car is running funny because you keep crashing it. You have to take some self-accountability in there as well. Every negative situation isn't always somebody else's fault. And a lot of times this positive default attitude happens when it is your fault. I learn the best when things are my fault. Because the lines get blurred. When it's somebody else's fault, you have a built-in defense mechanism. I had nothing to do with it. It was this person. When you did it, unless you're being completely psychotic, naive, and you're just hell-bent on being narcissistic and thinking it's always somebody else's problem, if you're none of those things, you're going to realize it was your fault. And it doesn't feel good to have to feel like you're in a negative space, in a negative place, in a place where a lot of times you end up having to lie to people to make yourself look like you're doing better than you actually are. Having a positive energy about yourself going into negative situations help as well. These are things you have to learn, but at the same time, they're not things that you have to go to school for. They're not things that you have to have a big group of friends that have all these diverse stories and backgrounds that happen to them. A lot of times it's very simple. You can just examine what you've already done in your life. Get yourself a mentor or somebody who you look up to, somebody you would aspire to be. And you start shaping your experiences around what that person did in similar circumstances, situations, environments with people. You have to do that. There's somebody out there who you aspire to be that has a very similar lifestyle to you. There's always someone out there. You have to look for them. It's not easy. And a lot of times that person could be someone in your church. It could be someone at your school. It could be someone in your family. But for me, it was people who had done things that were so big that there's no way I would ever meet these people. I've said it a million times. My favorite person on this planet is David Goggins. His story and my story are very similar. Now, he did things at a younger age that I could never do. He was a Navy SEAL when I was just being a musician in high school and college and running around and doing college stuff. He was doing hardcore buds training. But that's the thing, is that's why I appreciate his story so much, is because even though we had similarities growing up and similarities in drive and determination and that will and that passion to do things more than what people thought of us, and not having the greatest background, but yet we're thriving in life. He was also doing things at an age where I was lost, and he was finding himself 20 years before I even thought about it. It makes me feel like I wasted a lot of time. But in reality, I didn't. I found him right when I needed to find him. If anything had to change, my son wouldn't be alive. And I love my son. If anything changed, I wouldn't be in the position I am to talk to you on this podcast. I wouldn't have the relationships I have in my life. I wouldn't have the talents I have. Everything would have been different. So it's up to you to try to find someone who can bridge that gap for you. If there was ever a time for you to do it, it's always the moment you start realizing you may need help. That's the moment. Because people ask all the time, when after a failure do you move on to something that is going to help you in life? Well, you have to start where the failure started. And a lot of times you have to go back in time to do that. You have to view your brain as if it's a time machine. You just roll it back and you keep replaying things over and over and over again if you have to. It's not healthy to do some of the ones you can't control, but you can manifest and put yourself in different situations, and you can put yourself in a more positive outcome. It doesn't change the memory. It doesn't change the circumstance that you're in, but you're training your brain to start thinking more positive, and you can continue to do that. You can do it anytime you want. That's the good, powerful thing about our brains, is that we can go anywhere we want with them. You can manifest whatever you want. You can take from those manifestations, those dreams, whatever you want, and you can do with them whatever you want. But you have to be aware that just because there's a negative situation, that doesn't mean you can't turn it into a positive and shape it to something that's going to help you. And you're reprogramming your brain to start recognizing and accepting more positive things. If there's a positive person in your life, you're going to probably gravitate towards that person, and you should. If there's negative people in your life, you need to distance yourself from them. And it doesn't matter who they are. If you feel like they're not adding value to your life, you distance yourself. That doesn't mean you don't talk to them for the rest of their lives. It doesn't mean you ghost them. It just means you need time with yourself to figure yourself out. And if people don't understand that, then that's their problem. They're going through their own things. You're not bothering them. Eventually, they won't bother you. But you have to always remember to celebrate the successes whenever they come. So when you have a victory, even if it's in your mind, when you overcome something, you have a memory and you finally got to a place where you can say, I found a positive out of that negative situation, you celebrate that. That is a victory. But you have to remember those failures. The only way to get there, you have to remember the failures. You can't celebrate the successes without celebrating the failures at the same time. They're a part of you. You can't get rid of all the negative stuff, all the darkness that has to be in there. That's your fuel. That's what's going to get you to the next moment. That's what's going to get you over the next hurdle when it comes at you. Inevitably, it's going to come at you. So you have to be prepared for that. It has been a tool that I taught myself how to do. At the time I started teaching myself to turn those negatives into positives and start reprogramming my brain by putting myself back in negative situations and basically turning those negative experiences into positives, checking myself even in the past of like, what should I have done in those situations? You can learn from them. And I had nobody to tell me that. I figured that out on my own for no other reason that I wanted to be a better person. And I almost got to the point where I felt like I maybe went too far to the point of no return in my life, where I was getting to a point where, like, does it even matter? And that was a foolish thing to think about. It doesn't matter how old you are. What matters is that you want to change. And change is one of the most difficult things any human being can do because it requires you to change things that are comfortable in your life. There's an inevitable struggle that's going to come with that change. But when you start looking at things that come towards your way and you start walking that path and you can start collecting these little successes, these little victories they'll just come your way. And you realize a lot of those victories were based on prior failures, prior horrible, negative, dark memories and situations and people that have been in your life. Now you're prepared for anybody who even resembles those situations and those people and those circumstances. You're ready for them. You are ready. You have armored yourself. And the great thing about it is that you don't have to spend a dime doing it. All you have to do is take yourself seriously, learn to love yourself fully, and appreciate all that you are because you are a unique individual. And you have to figure yourself out. And I realized all these years that I was uncomfortable in my skin, when I was at the lowest of the low, when everything was negative, no matter how positive things got, I always saw that, hey, that negative thing is going to come. It's going to come. It's chasing me like a ghost. The good thing about it is that over time, hopefully for everyone, certain things will make you feel a certain way where you'll say, that felt comfortable. I want more of that. And it could be anything. But that's where each individual has to dig into themselves and find out who they are. What things do you like to do that makes you happy? Healthy things, not drugs and not alcohol, not overeating, not hanging out with the wrong crowd, not overspending on money, not doing all these things that is not going to make you feel so good after you reflect on it. Healthy things, simple things that don't cost money. When you're alone, if you were locked away in a room and you had nothing but your brain to entertain yourself with, where would your mind wander? How would you feel? That's how you get to know yourself. That's how you get on the journey. You have to start there. You have to act like there's nothing around you. You're starting over from scratch. You have a fresh start. And that begins whenever you want it to begin. Not when other people tell you it's supposed to start or end. It's your path, it's your journey. You can hop on it or off of it anytime you want. It's up to you. It's at your pace. Whatever you feel comfortable. It's a marathon. You can walk it. You can run it. You can ride your bike on it. Hell, you could even fly over it as long as you can see it. It's your path. But you have to understand that bad things are going to happen. And the only way you can really defend yourself from them is by knowledge. The knowledge to know that you can overcome it. There is so much comfort in knowing that you don't need everyone else to make you happy. You don't need everyone on the planet to love you because you already love yourself far more than anyone else could. There's no failure on this planet that's going to make you crumble and not get back up. You're going to get up. You're going to get up fast. You're going to stick to your discipline and you're going to fight through it. Why? Because you have already done it. You're still breathing and you still want more from life and you want more from yourself. There are things out there that will help you with that. You have to find the things that make you the strongest in life. You have to hit all those cores. What would make you more spiritual with yourself? You know, what's going to make you more in tune with your soul, with your heart? How do you deal with your emotions? Do you exhaust yourself physically in a healthy way? Are you thirsting for knowledge? Are you trying to get smarter? Are you trying to learn something new every day? Or are you just simply content with who you are? Being content with who you are, no matter who you are, will lead you towards something that you won't be able to deal with. I tell people all the time, get as much knowledge as you possibly can out of this world. You only are here once that we know of. But you're connected with so many people, so many things that you can do to make yourself a better person. Why not take advantage of that? Why not go out in this world and be you, your complete, whole, beautiful, unique self? 100% you. How nice would it feel to know that you can be the person you want to be? It's a long road. I know I'm not there yet, but I am as close to being who I really want to be as I have ever been in my life. And I'm happy because I know I'm going to get there. And when I get there, I'm going to keep pushing past that because the journey never ends. It's infinite. You can never stop being a good person. You can never not keep learning and helping people. There's so much to see in this world. Being content means you've stopped. Keep walking. Keep moving. Keep wanting better for yourself. Everyone around you will benefit from it. You'll become the person you always looked up to from other people. People will come to you for guidance. People will come to you for knowledge, for spiritual connection, for an emotional comfort from you because they know you can handle anything. They've seen you do it. People gravitate towards people who are disciplined and have self-love and don't need everyone else, but love to be around people. And even if you don't want to be around people, it's still your life to live. There's still so much you can do in this world. You just have to get out and do it. Just because you failed in the past doesn't mean your life is over. It doesn't mean you're glued to negativity. It just means you need to turn those little failures and those big failures into positive things that will benefit your life and add value to your life. And you can't run from them. You have to explore them through your mind. If you need to get a counselor, you can do that. There are mentors out here or people you can talk to, or you deal with it any which way you can. But they have to be dealt with. And once you get past it, you celebrate. Because you're on the path. You literally celebrate stepping on the path and start walking. And you keep walking your journey because as long as you're not going backwards, that road is going to lead you to somewhere good. If no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall.